Special Edition.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching the NewsHour Special Edition with me, Priya Bahal, this Sunday evening on Times Now. Now, the debate on reveries, which is the term that is being used for freebies and pre-poll sops that are promised by various political parties in order to lure voters, and shortcuts, was reignited today by none other than the Prime Minister himself. He was launching an expressway, but while doing so, he also launched an unsparing attack on the opposition parties. After the launch and inauguration of development projects worth 75,000 crore rupees in Nagpur, Prime Minister said that India needed sustainable development and warned people against parties indulging in shortcut politics. In his pointed attack, Prime Minister said that the country has suffered due to political parties misusing funds that belong to the taxpayers for the purpose of their vote bank politics and opting for shortcuts instead.
शॉर्टकट अपनाने वाले ये राजनीतिक दल, ये राजनीतिक नेता देश के हर करदाता के सबसे बड़े दुश्मन है, जिनका मकसद सिर्फ सत्ता में आना होता है, जिनका लक्ष्य झूठे वायदे करके सिर्फ सरकार हड़पना होता है, वो कभी देश नहीं बना सकते। आज एक ऐसे समय में जब भारत अगले 25 वर्षों के लक्ष्यों पर काम कर रहा है, तो कुछ राजनीतिक दल अपने निजी स्वार्थ में भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को तबाह कर देना चाहते हैं। शॉर्टकट से कोई देश चल नहीं सकता। देश की प्रगति के लिए स्थायी विकास, स्थायी समाधान के लिए काम करना, एक लॉन्ग टर्म विजन बहुत ही जरूरी है।
Now, Prime Minister has launched a similar attack after BJP's historic victory in Gujarat as well. But his word of caution to the people to be wary of political parties indulging in gimmicks did not go down well with the opposition, which is quite understandable.
It is absolutely correct. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind and in any Indian's mind that there are parties today who want to come to power and grab political power and get people's votes by saying anything, including things that are completely financially and politically irresponsible. And so that type of shortcut politics is something that people and voters of India must always, reject.
It's a Chanakya politics if they go and form a government with PDP. It's Chanakya level politics if they form a government in Haryana with JJP. But it is short-term politics if we start a Mahavikas Aghadi, which has done brilliantly well for the people of Maharashtra during the COVID period. We ensure that economic stability remained and we ensure that COVID did not go out of hand. Were acknowledged not just by us, acknowledged by WHO, acknowledged by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Shortcut politics, I will define what shortcut politics is. When you misuse agencies, when you undermine constitutional morality, when you undermine federal democracy, and you pull down governments, and put your own government in place, which are unconstitutional. That is short term.
Even as the political blame game is on, let's get you few facts that came to fore when this matter was being contested in the Supreme Court. Freebies have been one of the biggest talking points even during Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh elections, with the BJP accusing the Aam Aadmi Party of promising reveries that would affect the economy of the country adversely, as is borne out by the data that is currently on your screens. That there are several states, most of them ruled by the parties in the opposition, which means the non-BJP parties, that are currently in a state, according to the RBI risk analysis report, where the loans that they have taken, they are not even in a state to repay those loans. And why were these loans taken? Because there were promises that were made to the people of their states that may or may not have been fulfilled, but definitely were not financially viable. So what did Prime Minister mean by shortcut politics is dangerous? Taxpayers should not be shortchanged. While he did not name any political parties in his statement, why are certain opposition leaders taking umbrage to it? To understand the significance and implication, we are now joined by Sanju Verma of the BJP. We have Karan Verma, author and political analyst, with us. Yogi Gade, political analyst, is also with me. Kamruzaman Chaudhary from the Congress. Riju Dutta of the TMC was one of those parties that were first to react, with Saket Gokhale tweeting about it. Riju Dutta, what do you make of Prime Minister's statement saying that it is unfair for people to promise what they can't deliver later at the cost of financial viability?
Hi, yes, please give me the courtesy of time. See, I believe the Prime Minister of India closely follows our debates on national television. Because I believe whatever the opposition says against him and his party, he goes and says it into the press conference. I mean, who does shortcut politics? In Maharashtra, you felt a mandate of the people, the government formed with the people's, Ashirwad. You have done the same thing in Goa. You do all this in Haryana and every other state, and you say shortcut politics. In Jharkhand, you tried the same stunt, but Bengal police saved Jharkhand from Operation Lotus. Now, even after a thumping victory in Gujarat, 156 seats, 5 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs won. Now all of them are joining BJP tomorrow. So who is doing shortcut? Now coming to the revenue politics. Is it true or not that the schemes that are continuously going on in Bengal by the name of Kanyashri, Sobuchati, giving cycles, and Shastruzati scheme, which were awarded by the UN and the UNESCO in the world stage, in the global stage, those same schemes, the names were changed and were used in the Gujarat election manifesto in Gujarat, and the Prime Minister campaign saying we will give scooty. Is that not revenue? We will give free healthcare and free education. Is that not revenue? So
Sanju Verma, not only are you taking shortcuts, you are also taking shortcut and copy-paste.
And it is the height of hypocrisy.
Okay, Priya, I have not heckled anyone. I would want the same courtesy extended to me. Because this is an important debate, let's keep it civil. Okay, Riju made some points and I will rebut. First and foremost, there is a thin line between revenue or the culture of freebies and welfare economics. Revenue or freebies are when you make false assurances, आपकी जेब में चवन्नी है, but आप ₹1 का वादा करते हो, knowing very well you can't fulfill. Welfare economics is when you empower the poor, the marginalized, and the homeless, be it through PM Kisan, where more than 2 lakh crore has been given to more than 10 crore farmers, be it PM Awas Yojana, where more than 2.5 crore houses have been given to the marginalized, be it Ujjwala Yojana, where more than 9 crore gas cylinders have been given to women so that they don't have to choke on gaseous fuel, which was the case for about 50 to 60 years. And let me tell you one more thing. We have the Congress party for the longest time in power at the center, Priya, post 1947. And I have some data from the economic survey of the government of India. Let nobody say कि संजू वर्मा आंकड़े जो दे रही है, they are not credible. The sanitation rate in India prior to 2014 was 39%. The rural road network coverage was 54%. Banking penetration 47%. Electricity coverage 43%. Now tell me, Priya, it is now 2022 in barely 8 years. Be it the sanitation coverage ratio, be it the rural road network ratio, be it the banking penetration ratio, be it the electricity coverage ratio. These are all between 95 to 100% today. In 8 years, Prime Minister Modi has done what successive opposition-led governments in India could not do for more than 5 decades. And last but not the least, I will just quote Rajiv Gandhi, the ex-Prime Minister of India, who said long back, and today I remember his words, he was right on one of those rare occasions. जब 100 पैसे सरकार की तरफ से दिए जाते हैं, उसमें से सिर्फ 15 पैसे गरीब के खाते में जाते हैं. The rest 85 paise are pilfered by middlemen. Today more than 23 lakh crore has been given via the direct benefit transfer scheme to the poorest of the poor. And I can say out of this 23 lakh crores, not a single penny has gone to middlemen.
Riju, I will come to you.
Not a single penny has gone to middlemen.
Riju wants to respond to that, but before I get you in, Kamruzaman Chaudhary has something to say. Yes, sir.
Yeah, basically, you know, BJP and the ecosystem is very much trying very hard to change the preamble of our constitution. The preamble clearly states India is a socialist country. So it's not the Prime Minister Narendra Modi will change the socialist nature of our constitution. India is a welfare state. Better the people like Sanjeev Verma ji must understand. India started from Nehruvian socialism to Indira Gandhi's slogan of Garibi Hatao to Manmohan Singh's economic reforms, which we are reaping as of now. We as a UPA, we were able to lift at least 30 crore people out of the poverty line. This is all because of the welfare politics. Now after 2014, what we have seen is a paradigm shift in the economic policy of the Modi government. From being a welfare state, we have become a capitalist state. We have seen how policies have been twisted and changed just to benefit a few udyogpatis. But that is not the case. When the Prime Minister talks about sustainable development, where are the 30 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals headed for? Let me just finish. 30 more seconds. 30 United Nations Sustainable Goals were supposed to be achieved by India by 2030. We are nowhere in that range. 25 to 30% we have achieved till now. So it's not.
Sir, Prime Minister was talking about sustainable economy, and since you say that the Congress governments have been doing such a great job at working for the people, let me just quote to you what RBI risk analysis report says for the financial year 2020 and 2021. The debt as percentage of state GDP for Punjab, at that point a Congress ruled state, was 53.3%. The second highest is Rajasthan, again a Congress ruled state, which is at 39.5%, which basically means that the amount of loan that these states have taken for the people of their states, they can't even pay that back. How is this sustainable?
No, ma'am, why are you selecting? Let me quote you one more data. No, Priya, just 10 seconds. You are quoting selectively from the states. But why do you fail to mention that the debt to GDP ratio of the central government is at 90%, one of the highest in the world?
Answer that. Debt to
Why
GDP,
we
yes,
can't
let him finish.
have a state wherein it's not the question. No, Priya, you must understand, your viewers must understand the union government state GDP, the GDP to the debt ratio is at 90%. Now the question is not that how much you are into debt, but the question here is whether the state or the union government is able to service them or not.
Sanju Verma, you are preaching what you are not practicing.
The debts,
by the way, on this list, before I am accused of being selective, there is also Madhya Pradesh.
Are we that much?
We can't keep on and on and on.
Yes, Mr. Chaudhary, we've got your point. We've got your point. Let her answer. Let her answer.
90%. Okay.
Yes.
Priya, let me be very clear. I've studied from the best international and national schools, and I think I know a lot about economics, with no offense to anybody on your panel. Let me be very clear. The debt to GDP ratio of India may be 82% as per the latest IMF report. But you know why the IMF says that India has done brilliantly?
No, it is 89%.
Let me finish.
It is 89%.
Priya, can you ask this man to stop heckling? I did not interrupt you. Now please listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, instead of wasting time in telling each other to stop heckling, let's just...
please.
Mr. Chaudhary, I will come back to you. You will get time. Let Mr. Sanjeev Verma finish, because I also have two guests who are very patiently waiting to intervene without interjecting.
Thank you. Thank you, Priya. Yes, the IMF report said that India's debt to GDP ratio was 8 to 82%. But the IMF also said that India has done a brilliant job because the central government debt, which is what the IMF looks at, central government debt to GDP is 56%, and the IMF said India is the only economy with a size of more than $3 trillion, where the debt to receipts, that is also one of the parameters IMF looks at, the debt to revenue receipts ratio, you know how much it is? It is less than 28%. What is the debt to GDP of US? 154%. Debt to GDP of China, 354%. Debt to GDP of Japan, 220%.
Riju is
But
also
let
laughing.
If you don't know basic
me bring in
economics.
Karan Verma on this, Sanju Verma, on the point that center also has same amount of debt is what Sanju Verma's point is as the states have. But am I wrong in saying that when a state borrows, that is also added into the center's kitty? So basically the central government's debt is what eventually it's lending to the states, and the shortfall eventually will have to be met by the center itself.
Look, Priya, let's first understand this. What the Prime Minister today has said is the statement coming from a statesman. He never brought politics into it. He said that shortcut politics has to be kept aside. Now let's understand this. Let's keep politics aside. $55 billion per year has to be invested in our urban infrastructure if we are to accommodate 600 million Indians who will be staying in urban India. Now, the kind of stress we are looking at on our resources, only if we spend capital expenditure, and the Prime Minister, this budget, this time around, 7.5 lakh crores was spent on capital expenditure. Now, if we indulge in freebies just for quick political gains, we cannot build an infrastructure that can feed, that can sustain a whole another generation. You must understand, we need speed, skill and scale, as the Prime Minister has time and again enunciated. When he gives 10 crore gas connections, this shows development has to go hand in hand with compassion. When 3 crore houses are constructed, it is also a job multiplier more than anything, and it also gives dignity to the lowest common denominator. If we bring politics into it, if we follow the Punjab model, which is 3 lakh crores in debt and is still talking about doling out freebies, we are staring at an economic crisis. The UPA constructed roads at 12 kilometers per day. We've tripled it. We are about to quadruple it. This is the kind of speed we need, otherwise we will not have a country. Let's understand this.
Also,
the kind of migration that is happening, the kind of ecological imbalance that is seeping in, we need a sustained effort across the
right, and
political
eventually
spectrum.
it is meant
Whenever the Prime
for the
Minister
people
strikes a
to benefit. But Yogi Ghade
and Riju Dutta make it about their political gains.
Right. Yogi Ghade, I would like to bring you in on this. Now, Uddhav Thackeray today says that whatever Prime Minister is claiming has no basis, because it is under his rule that he has used taxpayers' money to do whatever he has to do. But when today we see Maharashtra's debt and wonder whether the promises that were made by the government were viable or not, do you agree that even the people do not back such unviable promises, as has been recently reflected by the outcome in Gujarat, because both the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party had gone all out to promise several freebies, and we saw what the result was.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you are.
Yes. Yes, the Prime Minister did mention we don't need shortcut politics. But the thing, if you notice, he's not mentioned any political parties or any oppositions. This has to be actually followed by all the political parties in India. We have seen what freebies have gone wrong in Sri Lanka. And if you go to see, it's not only the Aam Aadmi Party or the Congress, it is all the political parties that are giving freebies in some of the other states according to the agenda that suits them. So it definitely shortcut politics needs to be understood by all the political parties. But coming to the central government, when they are having agencies like the ED, CBI, the income tax department with them, they charge politicians of corruption and all. And once they form government, these political MLAs who enter into BJP or form government with the BJP, they are given clean chits. So is this not shortcut politics? In Maharashtra, if you go to see the Nirbhaya funds, which was supposed to be utilized for women, the vehicles are given under the Nirbhaya schemes are given for the security of the MLAs and ministers of this government.
Okay.
Is that not short-term politics? And if you have gone to see even the likes of the women like Bilkis Bano's rapists have been freed, is that not shortcut politics?
Yes.
All the political parties need to follow this, not only Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party or the
Right. Riju Dutta wants to intervene, but because it is 3 versus 1, I will give Sanju Verma a chance to respond before I come to Riju. Yes, Sanju Verma.
Thank you, Priya. You know, Priya, I just want to say one thing. The Supreme Court, as recently as July 2022, while this case is still, pending in the Supreme Court, at the moment as things stand, the Supreme Court said that the ED has every right to arrest people without a warrant. It can go and make indiscriminate seizures based on prima facie evidence. And
Yes.
if you have a problem with the Supreme Court's verdict, please go and file a writ petition. And I will just end by saying one thing. Chalo maan liya that the BJP is using the ED and the CBI. Why has the Bombay High Court repeatedly rejected Anil Deshmukh, ex-Home Minister and NCP member, ex-Home Minister of Maharashtra? Why was his bail plea repeatedly rejected?
But ma'am, respectfully, if I may, since you talk about Maharashtra and Bombay courts, can you deny the allegation that BJP has also been resorting to shortcuts when instead of waiting for elections to take place and get a majority from the people, it has been trying to orchestrate, according to the opposition, defections and making governments?
You know, Priya, the moment I make an important point, you also interject. I could not...
Ma'am, I got your important point. I was just trying to help make another important point that I think is important.
You keep interjecting. Allow me 30 seconds. I just have this to say, chalo, ED could be wrong. CBI could be wrong. As per these panelists, the Supreme Court is also wrong. I want to ask one thing. I want to ask one thing to the opposition. You keep talking about Bilkis Bano. When the Supreme Court allowed Mohammad Firoz, who had gang raped a 4-year-old minor, she died. Not one person from the opposition said that Mohammad Firoz, whose life sentence was commuted.
No, ma'am. Let's not digress over here. Let's not digress over here. What happened in Bilkis Bano has been debated to no end. But coming back to the point.
Why not about Mohammad Firoz?
Ma'am, because we're just taking this debate in another direction. Coming back to my question, while there can be two views over everything that you mentioned about the ED, the CBI, as well as the remission to some rapists and murderers, it is undeniable that there are states where BJP has managed to form mid-term governments by bringing over MLAs from the other parties to their fold. Is that not a shortcut?
You know, Priya, tell me one thing. You know, when the Congress, the NCP and the Shiv Sena came together to form the Maha Vikas Agadi, though I would love to call it Maha Vasuli Agadi, anyone with basic common sense and a basic understanding of Indian politics knows that the 2019 Maharashtra Assembly election mandate was for Narendra Modi and Devendra Fadnavis. It was not for Uddhav Thackeray. It was not for Sharad Pawar. It was not for Aditya Thackeray. It was not for Rahul Gandhi. BJP got more than 105 seats. If the mandate was for Uddhav Thackeray, why did more than 3/4 of his MLAs leave and join Eknath
Madhya
Shinde?
Pradesh,
So please stop making reckless
Karnataka,
allegations.
Manipur,
Stop making
Goa.
reckless allegations of the BJP.
Right.
No,
quick,
the allegation.
I have last 2 minutes, 1
shortcut
minute to
politics.
Riju Dutta, who's been raising
Can
his
I
hand,
comment?
and then Kamruzaman Chaudhary. First, Riju Dutta,
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I will just say this, you know, the Prime Minister, when he came to power, he made 5 promises. And this is for your viewers. I don't want to understand economics from Sanju ji. She knows economics 10 times better than me. But I will just say this. 5 promises.
I don't want to understand politics from you.
$5 trillion economy.
You have zero
bullet
political
train,
morality.
पक्के houses, पक्के घर बनाएंगे, 2 करोड़ नौकरियां देंगे, $5 trillion economy बनाएंगे, और bullet train चलवाएंगे. Not a single promise fulfilled.
But
This
if I
is
could,
a party.
okay, Riju, I got your point, and I got
And last me one thing, not 30 seconds is not over, Priya. Secondly, when they talk about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, why call it Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana? Because the states give 50% of the funding. It should be Pradhan Mantri and Mukhyamantri Awas Yojana. Because the states pay 50% of the amount.
Okay.
The best thing, Priya, is Sanju Verma and BJP are so used to Navika ji and Rahul Shivchandra. Today Priya came out of syllabus. That is why Sanju Verma is fumbling a little bit.
But
You are a small regional party.
no, let's not get into that. Every political party, irrespective of their size and status, has a right to express their opinion. And Kamruzaman Chaudhary, is it not a fact? No, wait, let me get a word in from Kamruzaman Chaudhary as well. Is it not a fact that when Prime Minister says that shortcut politics does not work, in states like Himachal Pradesh, they might have promised something which the people did not believe. Maybe they also themselves failed in delivering, and which people saw through and did not vote them to power. What is wrong in Prime Minister saying that we should not make promises that will not only make us a bankrupt economy, but also we will not be able to fulfill because there will be no money? He didn't name any party.
Priya, you are holding a very important debate with such... Yeah, you are holding a very important debate with very short time. In fact, you know, you need a longer time. But anyhow, I'll try to finish my point out here. It's not the question of whether freebies are there or not. The assessment that whether these freebies that are given to the people have met their desired targets that have been achieved because of this. You see the Manrega scheme that we started, the UPA started, this has lifted millions from the poverty in the rural. The migration to the city stopped because of this. Second point, Indira Gandhi Awas Yojana, Indira Gandhi Awas Yojana that we started has helped millions in getting homes in the rural areas.
Okay.
Now the question is whether these are going to cripple the economy or not. That is debatable. But the question remains whether these debts are able to be
Eventually, if it
serviced or
cripples the
not.
economy, then money goes from my pocket
Rather
only.
than
And if
questioning
you have no money, then you can make promises. You can promise the moon, but you won't be able to deliver. Karan Verma, one quick word, last 20 seconds, and we wrap up. Karan Verma.
You know what is the difference between freebie and the Atmanirbhar Modi model? 10 crore gas connections given but no refill so that they can work hard for a refill. Har nal mein jal but no free water bills as is done in Delhi. Har ghar mein bijli but you have to pay the electricity bill. That is the Atmanirbhar social welfare model that we are talking. Not freaky remedy. We will give minimal amounts so that you can sustain yourself. But Atmanirbharta is important. That is what the Modi model is all about. And that is why we should spread in the long term for sustainable development.
The line between positive affirmation and making people used to dole out politics is very thin. That is what Prime Minister today has attempted to define. Where does it stand is a big debate which, as you put very correctly, I will not be able to resolve in 20 minutes. Thank you, gentlemen, and Sanjay Verma for joining me on this debate. We take a very quick break on that note.